Hey guys, it's Miss Flores. So today we are going to continue dividing whole numbers and fractions, but we're going to do it without models. So we are going to learn the steps and the way that we divide fractions and whole numbers. So let's get started. Let's say we've got a problem and it is 1/2 divided by 3. All right. When we are dividing fractions, you need to remember 3 words. Those words are keep, change, flip. So these show what we need to do to our numbers and our operations in our problem. So first, keep. Our first number, in this case it's 1/2. That's the number that we keep. We are keeping that the same. Our second thing is change. We change our division to multiplication. And then our last one is flip. So what happens is that when I'm dealing with fractions, I need to turn my 3 into a fraction, right? We know that we do that by putting a 1 under it. But when we flip it, it takes the place of its numerator. So my 1 and my 3 flip. So what happens to my problem is that it now becomes 1/2 because that we keep that. We change our division to multiplication, and then our 3/1 flipped to be 1/3. And now we can solve it. We solve it by multiplying our numerators, multiplying our denominators, and we end up with 1 times 1 for our numerator, which is 1. 2 times 3 for our denominator, which is 6. So that means 1/2 divided by 3 is equal to 1/6. Right? And when we did our models on Friday, we saw this. We saw that if I draw 1/2, I split it up into 3 pieces. Right? I have to do that to the other side too. Looking for just one. The value of that one piece is 1/6 because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So the value of 1 would be 1/6. So that is what we do when we have division problems, is we have to remember to keep, change, flip. So we make sure to add a 1 under our whole number, wherever it is, and we flip the second number. So we keep the first number, flip the second number, change our division to multiplication. Let's look at another one. Let's say I've got different problem this time, same numbers. Let's say we've got 3 divided by 1/2. Right? We have to remember, keep, change, flip. So I keep my first number. My 3 needs to become a fraction though, so I put 3/1. So I keep my first number. So 3/1 stays 3/1. I change my division to become multiplication, and then I flip my second fraction. So instead of it becoming 1/2, I would flip it to where it's now 2/1. So according to keep, change, flip, my problem is now 3/1 times 2/1. And now I can solve that. We can do 3 times 2 for our numerator, which is 6. 1 times 1 for our denominator, which is 1. Well, remember when we were talking about whole numbers, that just putting a 1 under it means it's a whole number? Well, 6 ones would just be 6. So that means that 3 divided by 1/2 would be equal to 6. And we can draw that model, right? When we had 3 holes, there's my 3 holes. I'm splitting them in half. I'm dividing it by 1/2. How many pieces do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it checks out. So remember, keep, change, flip. Now let's try another problem. Let's say we've got 4 divided by 2/5. 4 divided by 2/5. So remember, keep, change, flip. So we can even write that above. Remember, KCF. So we keep the first number, change our division to multiplication, and then flip our second number. Well, my 4 needs to become a fraction, right? So I turn it into 4 over 1, which I'm keeping. I leave it alone. I change my division to multiplication, and then I flip my 2 over 5. So that means that this becomes 4 over 1 times 5 over 2. 5 halves. And now I multiply. It just becomes a multiplication problem. So I do 4 times 5 for my numerator, which is 20. 1 times 2 for my denominator, which is 2. And then I can simplify. It's improper, so I can divide to simplify, because that's what our fraction bar meant. Well, if I do 20 divided by 2 to simplify, I know 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that means that 4 divided by 2/5 would be equal to 10. Let's try one more. Let's say we've got, this time let's do 1/4. 1/4 divided by 6. We'll do 1/4 divided by 6. So we got to remember, keep, change, flip. We keep our first fraction, our first number, no matter what it is. Change the second, our operation. We change our operation to become multiplication. And then we flip our second number. In this case, it was 6, right? So it was 6 over 1, and it flips and will become 1 over 6. So my problem now becomes 1/4 times 1/6. And then we can solve that. We do 1 times 1 for our numerator, which is 1. 4 times 6 for my denominator, which is 24. So 1/24 is my final answer. I can't simplify 1/24 because it's got a 1 as its numerator. Can't simplify by 1. Let's actually try one more. Let's say we've got 1/7 divided by 5. 1/7 divided by 5. So remember, keep, change, flip. We keep the first fraction. We change our division to multiplication, and we flip our second fraction, our second number, right? So in this case it was 5. We got to make sure we put a 1 under it, and then we change our division to multiplication, flip that 5 over 1 to become 1 over 5. So our problem now becomes 1/7 times 1/5. And then we can solve. We do 1 times 1 for our numerator, which is 1, and then 7 times 5 for my denominator, which is 35. So 1/35 would be my final answer. So that was keep, change, flip, y'all. Let's take a look at our assignment for today. All right, y'all, let's take a look at today's assignment. So today's assignment is only 3 slides, totaling 22 questions. But like we did together just a minute ago, they go by pretty fast. So on our first slide, you've got whole numbers divided by fractions. And then on our second slide, you've got fractions divided by whole numbers. On slide 3, we've got some word problems to make sure that we're paying attention to see exactly what is being asked. So we do have the answers down at the bottom. As you can see, there's only 4 answers, but we've got 6 options here. So make sure that we are being very careful with solving, because not all of our answers will be used. So let's go over a couple of them. Let's go over one on this slide and then one on slide 2. So first one, let's look at 3 divided by 1/10. So remember, we have to keep, change, flip. So we keep our first number. We change our division to multiplication, and then we flip our second number. So remember, our whole numbers need to have a 1 under it, always. And then if we keep it, we either keep the 1 underneath there, or if we have to flip it, we flip the numerator and denominator. Well, when I solve this, I end up with 3 over 1 times 10 over 1, because we had to flip the second one, right? So this now becomes 10 over 1. And now I can multiply numerators, so I'll do 3 times 10. And then I'll multiply denominators, which is 1 times 1. Well, when that happens, I end up with 30 for my numerator. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Remember, whole numbers have 1 as our denominator, so 30 over 1 is just 30. So I would find 30 in my answer, which is right here, drag it to its spot, and that would be my answer. So 3 divided by 1/10 is equal to 30. Let's try one on slide 2. Let's try this one. We have 1/8 divided by 5. So remember, we have to keep the first fraction, change our division to multiplication, and then flip our second number. So since 5 is a whole number, a 1 would go underneath it, and then I can't forget to flip it in a second. So our problem becomes, I'll do it over here, 1/8, because we keep 1/8, times, change our division to multiplication, and then our 5 over 1 flips to become 1 over 5. And now I can solve. So we do 1 times 1 for our numerator, which is 1. Oops. All right, so 1 times 1 is our numerator, which is 1. And then we do 8 times 5 for our denominator, which is 40. So we end up with 1/40 as our final answer. So we find it down here from our options, drag it up, put it in our answer. And that is how we divide fractions and whole numbers. We always have to keep, change, flip. So you keep your first number, change your division to multiplication, and then flip your second number always when dividing. All right, y'all, we'll go over whatever questions y'all want on this assignment when we meet back up later on today. Let me know if y'all have any questions, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day, guys. Bye.